What's going on, guys? Nick Dark here. So we're going to go over a trade review on EJ from this past week. Let's just get right into it. So let's start off from the Sunday market blitz from the previous analysis, right? So this was the previous analysis, right? We saw a transition happening, huge rejection from this major zone around 123.5. This was a daily zone, I believe, and then we had a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, kind of an obscured one, but we were expecting some sort of reversal, especially after it broke this 38.2 and this weekly level and then retested. So we first identified the head and shoulders, right? So now we established this level of support that we wanted to see then break. It could also be the neckline, as you learn the pattern, the neckline is what you want to see break, followed by a retest, and that's exactly what we saw. So this level, a lot of confluence, whether it be the neckline, the weekly support, the 38.2, we saw all of that break significantly, and then it came back, price action came back and tested that zone, and then gave us further confirmation in the form of an evening star. So price action came up, right? Touched the zone, stalled. The buyers then took over control. We formed this doji, and then they stepped into the market and pushed price action back down. So this is an evening star pattern right here on a 4-hour time frame. We're going to play this forward. We already knew that it dropped, but we're going to play it forward. So that was a potential entry. It also came back up, tested again for pretty much a double top, and then dropped back down. So this was still a test of the area. Especially as price action came back through, it didn't close with confidence. It closed after forming wicks. So it just went and hit a lower time frame resistance level before reversing. Basically still a double top, but it gave us really good confirmation here because it pulled back through the MAs, and then once it came back through this zone, it crossed the MAs as well. So it actually gave us an extra confirmation to short this. So we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the analysis for a second, where we found this short opportunity. So, this is the Sunday market blitz, right? So this was the analysis done on Sunday, and through the week we give updates. So this is what we saw happening. We saw that it pulled back. This was that 4-hour evening star that we saw. Price action was coming back up to form that double top, which would have been right in this area before dropping. So let's go ahead and jump to the actual chart and see what this looks like. All right, so let's go to the 4-hour for a second. Right, so this is that pullback. So I'm going to walk you guys through entirely what this is and like how we found this entry. So this was that first evening star that we saw on this analysis here, evening star right here, and then this big pullback, essentially the double top, is this pullback, is this right here on the 1-hour. I'm sorry, on the 4-hour. Yeah, this right here, right? So then we entered in here, and I'll explain why. Let's rewind for a second, jump to the daily time frame, and just kind of go over why we have a short bias, okay? So on the daily time frame, it's super, super bearish, so that's the sentiment. It's bearish as hell because this is a giant bearish channel. We did see price action break out of it, but it just came and touched this 123.5 handle, which is a key level of resistance that we talked about on the 4-hour that we saw. So this is that level. This is that level right here, that major resistance level. So, overall, we know that it's bearish. We did see this huge 4-hour bullish trend, and then here's the reversal. So, when this reversal happened, this head and shoulders, once this level broke, I'm thinking now this is going to continue the bearish sentiment based on the daily time frame, right? We hit a huge level, a huge daily zone. We saw price action react from that level many, many times. If you just go to the daily again, you could see how many times price actions reacted this level. Reacted here, dropped, reacted here, dropped significantly, reacted here, and now we're dropping significantly. So this is, a very, very key level. So now we were looking for short opportunities, right? Below this zone right here, this 4-hour structure, below this weekly support, turned into resistance. So let's go ahead and drop time frames. Once we saw this happening, we were able to drop down, and we highlighted that this was a little bit of an ascending channel here. More or less a flag, like this would be the flagpole, this would be the flag. It is a little wide for a flag for my liking, but it still played into the, the fact that it would be a continuation if it broke, right? So where were we on this? So we saw this huge pullback. This was the double top. It crossed back through the MAs. We're now looking to enter. I wanted to see this leg form, some sort of pullback, and then enter, which it did. This one was actually quite quick. So just for the sake of this fib, from high to the low, right? Came back and wicked the 38.2, more or less closed around the 23.6. Okay, so actually it could have been on this conviction candle on the transition. It pretty much closed, almost right near the 38.2, but it did wick this level, and it actually pulled back just through the moving averages a little bit. to form structure. So not terrible. It probably was closer to closure on a 30-minute. Like, yeah, as you can see here, watch. Look at this. So we want this. I'm sorry, I'm going to fit from there to here. No, I'm going to do it from, my bad. I'm going to do it from the high to the low. There we go. And it came back and look, see, like we said on the 30-minute, it's 38.2% closure. So this was a good retest. It pulled back through the MAs to form structure and then closed right through the MAs on two bearish engulfings here. So bearish engulfing 1, bearish engulfing 2, and then look what happened. Momentum picked up and just pushed it lower. It broke out of this little box channel, retested and dropped, found resistance on the MAs. So this was a really good trade. You could have entered right here. This move did happen quick. There was a huge wick, right, that we saw on this 1 hour. But you could have entered on this engulfing or this engulfing. Or even, you know, as this was closing below these MAs, you want to get in on that. Let's go back to the 1 hour for a second and kind of just highlight why we chose this trade. So this was a 60 pip, roughly 60 pip stop loss, protecting ourselves outside of this huge level, this weekly. And also the 61.8 and the 78.6. So there's a lot of protection here. The MAs are above it. The 200 MAs right there as well. So this was a really good area for a stop loss. It could have been a little tighter if you even wanted, right to this area, 40 pips. We chose 60, just keep it a nice round 2.0 risk reward. And then we were targeting towards the lower support level, around the higher time frame 61.8 fib, as you can see over here. It's like a daily fib, right? So right around a nice psychological level of 120 is where we targeted. And it actually, you know, it shot right to it. So we wicked the 38.2 on this 4 hour fib. Let's just clear it up. And then it just proceeded to just fall. Bearish confirmation after bearish confirmation. We actually saw a little bit of structure form right here too. Let me highlight this. How price action pushed lower. How it pushed lower, came back and tested it, and then continued to drop. So luckily, I mean, we didn't have to endure this pullback through the MAs. It just went straight to TP basically after breaking this level. So again, that was like 120 pips right there. But it did pull back to, again, form structure after pulling back through the MA. So like, let's just analyze price action for a second here. Right? So our first entry was on this, you know, structure formation here, this wick to the high here. So it pulls back through the MAs, wicks higher, hits a fib level, and then drops, pushing back through the MAs. That's exactly what happens here. Sharp move to the upside, pulls back through the MAs, wicks to the high of this prior structure level, and then drops, pushes right through the MAs again to the downside. So this is looking really, really good. And again, look, here it is again. Pulls right back through the MAs, right? Wicks to the high, pretty much at this level here. Right, pretty much right at this level. I'm actually going to make this a little lower. There we go, like that. Pulls right back, hits the MAs, pulls back through the MAs, wicks to the high of this prior structure, and then drops and pushes right down through the MAs and out of this zone. So this was a really, really great trade. Pretty textbook. It's forming a great channel right now. Very, very bearish, as we can see. Let's just highlight this like that. Through this trend line, we'll highlight this. Okay, pretty steep. Good structure forming trend on this little 1 hour time frame here. So this is looking pretty good. So I'm going to add a little bonus here. So this was that trade review. This was it right here. So I'm going to give you guys a little bonus. Kind of throw an analysis on the back end of this, because I was saying even at the Sunday Market Blitz, this was a two-part trade. This being part one. So this was that lower time frame 1 hour short trade playing down towards a major support level right around the 61.8 at the 120 handle. So again, that's part one. Because, you know, we got in on a lower time frame transition, entered on a 1 hour time frame or a 30-minute time frame, you know, based on 1 hour structure, and then dropped. Now we're looking at part two of the trade, which is a transition of 4 hour structure playing into a daily move. So this would be what we want to see right here. We want to see a little bit of a push lower, a pullback, confirm a lower high, and then enter. So something like this we want to see over here. So let me go ahead and show you exactly with this bar pattern. Basically that. Okay. So essentially we want to see this. Price action push a little bit lower, come back for the retest, and then we're entering on this lower high right over here. And then we're going to target down towards our monthly at 116.5. Looking really, really clean. I like the way this is setting up. No doubt in my mind that we're going to get there, especially if we form this lower high and get the confirmations we want to see. And we're going to pick this up next week probably. So like I was saying, this is a 4 hour transition. We're on the 4 hour time frame. Break lower, followed by a pullback. Let's say we get that lower high. This is a huge confluence area. and then we get those confirmations that price action is going to, like bearish confirmations that price action is going to keep falling. And I said it was going to be a daily move because if we look at the daily time frame, it's breaking back into this daily bearish channel. So again, if it does get below this level, and if it does close significantly below this 200 EMA, below these MAs, it'll give us a moving average cross, and then a potential retest of the 200 EMA and this trend line, which again is just more confirmation on a daily time frame, which is huge. So then naturally, this would be, like I said, a 4-hour transition into a daily move. So we're looking to target a more significant support level, which would be this monthly in this case, around 116.5. So this is looking very, very clean so far. Let me give you guys a range on this one. Well over 300 pips. Let me give you a chart setup too, or potential short setup. So let's say we're targeting down towards 116.5, which we are 116.5. Okay. Entry, call it 119.6, looking good. And then our stop loss would be well above this structure level. You could call it, we'll call it 100 pips. More than enough protecting this here. A few levels of minor structure, the MAs. Of course, this major structure level here, right near our 61.8. So we're looking at right now risking 100 pips to get about 300, a little over 300. So it's a 3-0 risk reward. This could be a potential great trade, and we'll be covering this in the upcoming Sunday Market Blitz and into next week. All right, guys. So this was an EJ trade review with a little bit of analysis on the end. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.